Oh my freaking goodness. How are we already at level 4 where we are talking all around keeping the guys? So you've done this whole journey of letting go of your past and learning from it. And we continually evolve that, right? And then we moved into how to go meet more people and then how to attract more people. Level 3 and level 4 is how to keep them. Because after you get them, this is the real work, right? And this is why I do want to invite you to continue this conversation inside of the Love Club, which is our monthly membership, or up level to some VIPs or the mastermind or something to keep yourself in the vortex of this, because truthfully, what you do outside of relationship and before relationship really does come up in relationship. And so you might be at that stage, you might be feeling it right now where you're like, why is this happening? Why am I triggered? Like, what's going on here? And that's where your daily vitamins are really going to come in. I'm going to be walking you through 8 conversations, 8 things to really look at. This comes from the book 8 Dates by the Gottman Institute. So they spent years studying thousands of people of what makes healthy and happy relationships. And if you don't know the Gottmans, they are the world's leading marriage researchers and clinicians. But they have a whole bunch of information about this. And it's something that has really, really helped me in understanding partnerships and understanding dynamics and relationships and just getting to know these things. And so we're going to be breaking them down, plus my life experience and things that I've pulled from other various, feminine energetic courses, polarity courses, my own life experience, psychology, sexology, just all these things I'm going to be pulling from throughout this entire segment. But what I want to start with is the thing that I started with is you might be feeling it right now, that whatever you heal outside of relationship, you're going to have to do again in relationship. So if you can think back to your last relationship and what was that rupture, you might be feeling it currently. The fear of, is this person going to break my heart? Or can I trust them? Or you might be seeing that you're having the same type of conversations and your body starts to have this visceral reaction of like, run. This isn't good, run. And we've gone on this journey enough and through all the work, and you've cleaned that up, right? This is for, you are with a high value man. You've weeded out the weasels and you have found a really good guy. And now you want to deepen with him. And it's for that person. And when we finally find a good man, and we're used to chaos or we're used to toxicity or, triple checking or trust issues or things like that, safety might not feel safe at first. And so you might be feeling that felt sense of like, I need to run. This is why we go back to our lists. This is why we go back to, the work that you've done and doing some unblocking and going to your true love identity and doing some daily vitamins and getting back into your bodies and releasing tension from your hips. Because as you start to shift your nervous system, which takes, 1 to 3 years, you're going to have that feeling. And I just want to normalize it. And that's why we have our calls and we have our spaces, because I wish someone would have said that a lot sooner. I would have saved myself in good relationships, because it's like, oh, they're boring, or oh, this triggers me, or oh, shouldn't this feel more natural, or oh, shouldn't this not trigger me? And all these things of how we think it should be, when in reality, it's going to. We learned our triggers and our traumas in relationship. We can only start to heal them in relationship. And in the beginning stages of dating, I don't recommend bringing all of our stuff into relationship. But the truth is, the only way to deepen in relationship and get into trust and commitment and things like that, we're going to get into that topic, is to be vulnerable and to share what's actually going on with you. And this is where we start to share about our past. This is where we start to move from me to we. So when you're sitting in these spaces and you're like, I'm activated by this, how can you bring your partner in on this, right? You might be going on dates or spending time with them, and then you leave and you're like, that wasn't fully me. Like, that wasn't fully what I wanted to bring to the table, or I could feel myself shutting down and I could feel these things happening. Why is this happening? Or maybe it's your high strungness and your tough girl and your survivor complex, or maybe it's your people pleasing that you're trying to get rid of. And so letting them in on your past in a powerful way of like, maybe I find myself responding in these ways and I find myself shutting down in these ways. And the reason that is because, and you start to share your story. I used to find myself closing off in these spaces where I didn't want to be the damsel in distress, which we've talked about, but in intimate relationships where you've already filtered through people and you found a really good human being, letting them in is really, really powerful and helpful. This is the thing about the trauma, right? Where you have to talk about it. I know it's that kryptonite. It's the one thing they could use against you. It's that thing that we hold on to. But if it's coming up again and again, and you find yourself like, again, after you leave the relationship, you're like, that wasn't me. Like, why do I keep doing this? Like, what's going on? That's when it's bringing your conversation and your trauma to a safe place where it's like, this is actually what's going on. And like, I don't actually want to be a tough girl, but that part of me comes out because of this and what this happened in my past. And what would be really supportive on your end is if you reminded me to rest and you reminded me to breathe and that I was safe and it was okay and that you're on my team. And, you know, when we're in conflict, just making sure, like, I know you can go to bed at night and you're not upset about that. But for me and one of my partners, it was like, can you just touch my toe? And like, remind me you still love me. And like these types of things, because I found myself not wanting to be the damsel in distress. And then I would just say minimal things about my past. Like, my mom was tough, but I wouldn't give, because in early stage dating, that's fine. But in the depth of it, my mom's tough isn't really telling the full story or what happened during her addiction phase or what happened in my childhood or what happened in these things. They felt like I just wanted to move past them, so I didn't bring it into the topic, but yet I felt having these triggers. And so I didn't want my relationships to be the things that saved me, but ultimately, because that strong stance, I ended up closing down my heart and not letting men see me. The tough girl complex, right? And so when we get to this stage, men don't want to compete with your protectors. And so if right now you're feeling this like protection over your felt sense area, which is from your throat to your womb space, it's like that thing that you can't fully describe, and you can only describe it if it's in comparisons. Like, it feels like a semi sitting on my chest, or like a crunch of like someone stepping on it. Like, that's the felt sense. If you're feeling that, it's giving awareness to it, going and doing your daily vitamins, because ultimately they can't save you, but you can bring them in and help them understand you at this stage and explain a little bit, right? Because men crave your vulnerability. Men crave your softness. They don't want your tough girl. And what I often see in this stage, after you've gotten liked and you got them, you know, through the gates and things, you start to really like them. And then your survivor complex comes out. And it's like, oh, I have to earn this. I have to prove this. I have to do this. I have to do it. And like, you're afraid of losing it. So those old triggers come back. And it's just coming back home and catching it and being like, I'm safe. Can I now bring my partner in and lean in on him? Because it's now in us. A strong masculine man and your future teammate, your current teammate, he's going to be there with you. Again, it's shifting from the you have to act this way to protect my trigger into this is actually what my past was like, and here's how I protect myself. Here's what I'm doing outside of the relationship to heal that. But in our dynamic, this would feel really, really supportive. How do you feel about that? And now it becomes a conversation and a collaboration versus I'm going to either withdraw or I'm going to lean in, and then we're going to fight. And so if you're feeling any of this right now, it's okay. When we get into deep, vulnerable, committed relationships, it takes a new level of vulnerability. And it's only going to be your nervous system going like, unsafe zone, but it's only unsafe because you've never been here with this person. And so our nervous system only wants to keep you safe. And that's her cute little thing. But it's your job to not fight it, but cultivate that safety. Go into the daily vitamins, expand your nervous system, which is going to be uncomfortable. It's like a new position in yoga. And so you're expanding your nervous system to get back to I'm safe. And that's when we can trust our intuition again. But sometimes when we've been through traumatic experiences, trusting our intuition when we're getting into safety isn't actually trusting our intuition. It's trusting our triggers and our closed offness. So let me know how this lands. You're doing incredible work. We're going to go through so much in this module to really land in the keeping, in the vulnerability piece, and the expansion. I'm so excited that you're in this phase, and I'm really celebrating you, babe. You're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe.